Ladies and gentlemen,
this is Gamertag Radio with your hosts, Danny Peña, Paris Lilly, and Peter Toledo.
All right, welcome to Gamertag Radio. We're live at Gamescom, not in Germany, but in LA. So this is Danny Peña, and also we have co-host from GTR, Paris Lilly. What's up, Paris?
What's up, man?
Yeah, well, what you think of Gamescom? We're finally at Gamescom. Well, you've been to Germany Gamescom, not the LA version.
I like the LA version of Gamescom. It's smaller, but you got access to everything. We're able to do interview, hands-on. It's been good. And then obviously, it's always good to catch up with people, you know. So yeah, this is great. Love it.
Now, also, we have my wife and also co-host Riana Manuel-Peña. What's up, Riana?
What's up? So I guess this is an official announcement?
Yes.
Okay, so...
What about what?
Paris doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Danny, would you like to let the people in on our secret?
One of the things that we've been talking about this for a while, because every time we have you on the show, people are like, man, Rihanna should just join you guys and just help out, because he's really good at, I know you've been doing an amazing job with What's Good Games. And for those that don't know, What's Good Games, I think the final show is going to be sometime next month.
What? September 27th.
September 27th.
September 27th will be the final episode, the series finale of What's Good Games. And if you will be around PAX for the end of the month, we're having our goodbye party there.
Yeah, so we decided to have you here to start helping us out with content. Not on the live show, maybe once in a blue, but it's going to be more of preview, reviews, all that type, and maybe conversation, especially Apex, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So my first question to you guys, what was the game that stood out to you the most out of all the games you got to check out?
I can definitely go first because it was Avowed. And obviously in this episode of GTR, you'll hear more from Danny and Paris this time speaking with developers of the game. But for me, I have not been the biggest fan of first-person adventure and action games. I tend to get a little bit motion sick. Shooters are obviously my jam, but Avowed really changed my mind. And I don't know if it's the pace of the action or just the way that the developers at Obsidian are able to craft this experience and give weight to your movements, but it felt really, really good. And some things that I really loved about the very brief time we got with the game, because obviously this is going to be a very large experience, is they gave us a couple of preset builds, and I played a ranger. So I had guns, I had an arrow, but what's really cool about this game is that you can spec your character out to be any mix of whatever class is interesting to you. And one thing that I really loved is that part of the exploration reward is that you find not only weapons or upgrade materials or currency, so that you also find spells. And at one point I found a grimoire. So this is a book that I could hold in my left hand while I had a gun in my right. And if I were to discover in my exploration a number of spells in that grimoire, I could equip them to a spell slot. So even though I'm playing as a gunslinger or shooter type of character, I can still do magic wielding and do area of effect impact and stuff like that. So I think it's really appealing because it really caters to any type of gamer. And if you can get over the hump of first person action for me, it's worth your time. And I was really excited to see how well they pulled that off. And I want to see more. And the level of depth that they have in all of the dialogue trees and all of the options for your play style and what you actually end up doing to impact the world was mind-boggling. We've seen a lot of this, really over-the-top, impactful choices in RPGs lately, and I love that they're leaning into this trend as well.
Yeah. I know you guys both use Ranger, and I'm the only one that use Mage. I love Mage. I feel like the movement is a lot faster. There's also powers where you could turn your spell into a weapon. What's going on with this, Paris? Paris is a hater. And yeah, I use a couple weapons, but it's temporary. It only lasts a couple of seconds or so. But it's good for me to switch here and there, Or I could just use the wand and attack enemies like that, But I really, really enjoy Avowed. As a fan of their games that they worked on in the past, I'm really excited for this game. Really, really excited. I think there was one bug, but that's again, it's a early build, you know. But I'm excited to play the final build for this game. So.
You want to know what my favorite game was? It was cooking with Ka. And when you cook with Ka, and then you eat the food, and then you get poisoned and you die. That was my favorite game to play. Nah, real talk though. Obviously, you know, we talked about Avowed. You know what? And I told you this. Adamfall. I really liked Adamfall. I really did. Like, it's not. I like the fact that it was difficult, and it's not truly like a survival game, but like ammo is scarce. The enemies are very brutal. You got to watch your step where you're going, and there's like some weird mystery going on with the phone ringing and all that. You know, we didn't get to play obviously a long time, but it definitely piqued my interest, and I want to see more of it for sure. So that would probably be the favorite thing that I played here. Avowed, again, it just speaks for itself for everything that you've already said. I did play Winterborough as well. Again, not enough time because, like I was telling Danny before, because this is the game where you're the mouse and you're coming out of your house. It's like a crafting game. So you're getting all these materials out in the world and you're crafting and you're building. It's fun. I needed more time to play it, though. That was probably my biggest thing.
I do have a question about that.
Sure. And then last thing, if I can finish, please. Gave you all the time you wanted. See, look what you're getting into. Are you sure you want to join this? Yeah. But Danny and I played Towerborn.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I mean, you know, the early access is coming September 10th on Steam, not Xbox. And I did ask why they weren't doing that, and they were honest about it. Stoic, I believe, is the name of the studio, the dev studio making it. But they were like, Xbox Publishing was very supportive to let them do it the way they wanted to do it. And they wanted a more curated experience with Steam because they feel the Steam community is a lot more receptive to early access games, to games that need polish, that are broken. It's going to have bugs that you want to get feedback from before they introduce it to the Xbox community at the beginning of 2025 and then get their feedback as well. So again, I'm going by what they said. This is what they told me is the reason that it's on Steam first and not coming to Xbox. And I appreciate that. But the actual gameplay itself, Danny and I played co-op on that. And, you know, I was the sword and the shield guy, and you were
it looked like he had like gloves, like those special gloves, so
Yeah.
like attack. Yeah.
But it's like, you know, beat them up, and, you know, we took out the boss and all the enemies and all that. And the boss fight was fun. I really enjoyed the boss fight that we had in there. I can see the appeal of where they're going with this. Let's see what it is in early access, give feedback and all that. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I'm going to post some footage that I recorded online and stuff, but two things about that game. I really enjoyed that game a lot. Love the animation, the artwork, and this is like really, really cool. And it reminded me kind of the vibe of the Castle Crashers. Remember, like back in the days, lots of enemies, boss battles. Can we play 4 players on this one? Because we tried 2 player. You know what I mean?
Sure. We did 2 on that.
We did 2 players, so I'm not sure. But that's the vibe that I got when I was playing this game. Like, it reminded me so much of Castle Crashers, that type of vibe, which I love that game too. One game that nobody mentioned that I really enjoyed too is Little Nightmares 3. I haven't played 2. Love the first game. It's the same type of vibe. You have a companion with you where you could tell them you press Y and it'll tell like certain things like maybe break a rope, help you move certain items for you to climb up. And I couldn't play the whole thing because we only have like limited time, but I really, really enjoyed the game. And I have that dark feel as the first one that I played. Really enjoyed that. Now, Adamfall, Paris, we're live here. Thank you. So no, I'm okay. Okay. With Adamfall, like here's the thing. I started playing this game and I went to first of all, you start with no weapon. 0 weapon. So I went to like an area. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna attack. I thought I had a gun. Like I thought I had something. No, I had nothing. I had to like punch them, and I didn't survive. They were like too powerful. So I went to like a different area the second time when I came back. Now I find a weapon. So I see somebody come up to me like ready to attack me, and I'm like shooting. And I'm like, wait a minute. I realized I didn't reload. I didn't have no ammo. So like you really have to, you can't just bum rush and start attacking. You have to like find certain weapons, make sure to prepare yourself before you attack. Now, for those that don't know, this is the same developers, Rebellion. They the ones that worked on Sniper Elite. So it's the same dev team that worked on that game. So yeah, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if anybody had this game on their list to get to, because I don't think either of you have played it yet. But one that I keep hearing about at this event, which again, thank you Xbox for inviting us, has been fantastic, is Metaphor. That's the game that a lot of people are saying looks a lot like Persona, has a lot of that spirit and that visual style for sure. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot of buzz around that game. I know for some of our friends who are here, it's been their game of the show or their game of the experience. And a lot of folks are saying that it's interesting to have that Persona DNA, but to have a different flavor of it. And maybe this one is more or less approachable depending on what kind of gamer you are. But what's been your impression of it, just even hearing people talk about it while we're here?
So have you played the game? Because I played it. I played it at Summer Game Fest, and now this is my second time. So in this demo, there's 3 different demos that you could try out. So the one that I picked was more like attack. That's like a mission. You go, you're like in a castle. I really enjoyed it. I love those type of RPG games. Here's the thing. I'm glad that this game and also Persona already came out a couple years ago on Xbox. There's not a lot of RPG games from Japan like that on Xbox. So I know a lot of people are excited and love Persona. If you love Persona, that type of RPG game, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. I had a great time. The demo they have here, there's only 15 minutes long, no matter which one you pick. Didn't know much about the characters, but it's like you playing like an old RPG game. You're gonna summon some characters to attack the enemies, stuff like that. So I did record some footage of me playing the game. And there was also like a little mini boss battle in there. So yeah, there's not much to talk about. It's just a short demo of the game, but I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. Anything else?
No, I mean, it's not a me kind of game, so I didn't play it at all, but I know the appeal of it because a lot of people are excited for it, so it's good to hear.
Yeah. Anything else, Reed, before we wrap it up?
No, I think a couple of things to shout out again. We haven't all played this, but I know I was looking over the shoulder for somebody playing Funko Fusion or what is it? Funko Frenzy? What is the name of the Funko game?
It's Fusion Funko or Funko Fusion, something. Yeah.
And it looked fun. Like, so the level that they're playing in is you're playing as a Funko Pop character. You're running around in like a Jurassic Park level, but all of the dinosaurs have, Funko size heads, and it's very cartoonized and stylized. And there's different things that you can do to unlock certain areas in the level to expand your play area. And you're playing with other people. You can befriend them or treat them as enemies. And it was way more involved than I expected a Funko game to be. Like, it could have been a lot less effort, but it looks like they really tried to put some fun mechanics in there. And I'm really curious if I can get my hands on it before we're out of here. And then also Winterboro is on my list. I would like to play that game. It looks absolutely beautiful. And from what I know of, again, other people at this event speaking on it, like the music is really, really atmospheric, and it puts you in sort of a very cozy game headspace, but the stakes are still there, and you can feel the urgency of what you're trying to do as the little mouse character and crafting everything. So that's the other one that I want to play, but I haven't gotten my hands on yet.
Well, I'll say this. By the way, that a lot of people don't know this, but that game is third person view, so top down. So it's really, really cool. One thing I do have to say, props to Microsoft for having a gamescom event locally, because I think this is great for creators and media that can't attend the event in Germany. They come to this venue right here, play a couple games, capture, talk to the dev. I think it was like a really great experience. I haven't experienced that since, I think the last event that had something like that similar was in 2015. The event that you went to in San Francisco for Quantum Break and 2016, around there. So that was the last time they had something like this. So I would love to see more of this in the future. not only for Gamescom, but any event they're planning to do in the future. I think this is cool. So
Yeah, one other thing, I know like we're wrapping this up, but I want to give once again a shout out to Xbox for inviting not only people that we know who have been in the space forever and have had their outlets for a long time, but there's also a lot of new creators here and people that are like just getting started or just starting to really blow up in the scene. So I think they're doing a really great job of getting new and established voices in the same rooms together so we can start to learn from each other and, you know, share our experiences and all of that. So it's been a really great atmosphere. And yeah, I hope they do this more because stuff like TGS, for instance, like there's no way we're going to go to Tokyo this year with a less than 1 year old baby. So
Say no.
never say never.
never say never, sure. But yeah, this has been fantastic. And yeah, I hope we can play some more games after this.
Anything else you want to say about that, Harris?
No, I
You're
mean,
good?
yeah, it's good.
All right, so we're gonna go now straight to our interview with Obsidian about Avowed. I'm hyped. And Paris
The Path of Exile.
completely mentioned a different game, and you're gonna get to see it or hear it during the interview. So we'll be right back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is Gamertag Radio with your hosts, Danny Peña, Paris Lily, and Peter Toledo.
All right, so we're live here in Los Angeles. We have a Xbox where we're at the Xbox at Gamescom event here, Paris.
I call it Gamescom, Xbox Gamescom LA. That's what I call
There you go. That's very long, by the
Yeah.
way. And so, so we have here the devs, the team from Obsidian. We're going to be talking about Avowed. So you would like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Matt Hansen. I'm the art director on Avowed.
And I'm Ryan Warden. I am the production director on Avowed.
So we got to play the game. Was that like an hour gameplay or so, right? Was it like an hour or so?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Really enjoy the game. Really enjoy the vibe. Now, I play different classes.
Yeah.
My pick, Mage. So,
Man of Karen.
yeah. So tell us, for those that haven't had a chance to play the demo,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the classes
Mhm.
and which one is your favorite class, personally, for you guys.
All right.
Yeah,
then
sure.
I'll do the last
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so I mean, the first and foremost, there's not real classes. We did that for convenience for the demo. We just wanted to give some archetypes players might be familiar with. You know what a mage is. You know what a ranger is. But you can mix and match skills. You can mix and match weapon loadouts. One of my favorite ways to play the game is just with a a shield and a pistol of all things, and kind of just go in SWAT style and block blows, crack domes. It's a lot of fun. But I also really like pairing like very martial abilities with very arcane ones. So we've got some really cool AoE arcane abilities. We also have really fun charge ability. I like charging into a group of enemies and spitting out an ice tornado around me and just watching them melt. It's a blast.
So to answer the question about favorite build, my favorite build so far is not available on this particular demo. It's being shown in Germany right now. It's a blood mage build. And so what that is you're a mage and you're casting, but when you run out of essence, then you start to deplete your own health and in order to keep casting. So very high risk, very high reward. And how that came about is, as Matt was saying, we don't have actual builds in the game. It's a classless game. But we wanted to provide something to folks to ease their way into this as they were just like sitting down at stations. So QA was providing a ton of support for how we could build those out. And one of our QA testers, Jan, was like, I have a blood mage build. And we were like, what? You have a blood mage build? And it was just this combination of trinkets and rings and abilities. And he was like, yes. And it is so much fun. It is so much fun. It is absolutely the best way to play that I've found so far. So thank you, Jan. It is dope.
Another glorious battle.
If it weren't for the creepy oracle and the invading roots, this place would be kinda nice.
I have so many questions that I'm struggling to come up with the right one. So let's start with the difficulty of the game.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised.
Yeah.
It was more difficult than I thought it would be, which is actually a really good thing in the grand scope of things, because I'm coming. I started off. I was a ranger. I'm like, oh, let's pick them off with the arrow. Ought to be easy. And I was like, wait a minute. It's not easy.
Yeah.
I need to actually strategize in what I'm doing, because obviously the build that you provided in this demo, I had the bow and arrow, and then I had the dual pistols as well. And I had to kind of combo those things, because I might hit someone at range, they would get mad and they would come at me immediately.
Yeah.
So being able to utilize that, being able to utilize my companion as well, I thought was a great gameplay loop that we had in there. So talk about that, because I think when I think about what we've seen of Avowed, I felt it would be more straightforward as far as fantasy. You're gonna create your character, you're gonna have these different weapon builds, but it seems like you want that gameplay to be a lot more. You want the gameplay to be very strategic.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, shout out to the gameplay team. They've been doing a really rock solid job making sure that the combat is interesting, but also bringing elements of action combat that you see in games outside of RPGs into the RPG space for us. And it's really allowed us to kind of +1 our legacy with combat, right? Like, yeah, it's okay. And so, in some of our first person games that we've already done, like, it's all right. It's a good time, but we really wanted to bring a lot more strategic element into it. And I'm glad it's working. That's awesome. And also we're going to have, scalable difficulty as well. So for players that are more just interested in the story, we'll have story mode. For the real masochists out there, we'll have Path of the Damned like we have in past games. That's going to be significantly harder even than what you played today.
I know I had you on the show
Yeah.
a couple years back for Outer Worlds. I think it was the expansion,
Yep.
right? Yeah, so love Outer Worlds. So like people are going to be comparing, other projects that you guys worked on, and this. What are the things that it is different with this project than the previous projects that you guys worked on before?
Yeah, so a big one, when we were developing Outer Worlds, we really started to play around more with what does first-person gameplay look like in an RPG. And by the end of it, we had learned a lot of lessons. And one of the things that we really wanted to bring into Avowed is a greater sense of verticality, which I hope you got to experience in the playthrough that you did, where we can't guarantee players are going to look up or look down. We can try and direct them to do so. But that also gives us really nice nooks and crannies to put secrets and new paths through the content that, there's always a straightforward path, but you can always find fun, exciting other ways to go through it in the ways that you want. So that was a big component of it for sure. Beyond that, I mean, every game you learn so many lessons, right, for the next one. So it's not just about first person, but being able to kind of explore quite literally new perspectives on things has been a really critical part of our design process. And those pitfalls that come with that as well. I mean, I know you've got some of that you can speak to.
Yeah.
But yeah, go for
Sure.
it.
So one of the things that we realized pretty quickly / slowly a couple of years ago is that players will not look behind them. So if you're going to design a path for a player to go to, and then all of a sudden you hit just sort of like a brick wall and smart dev, the answer is 180 degrees behind you. Players will not do that. They are not going to spin around and look behind them. And so it's been really interesting to go, oh, okay, hold on. Let's not force them into doing this weird thing that they just don't want to do in the first place. Okay, how do we naturally design a player path through a region or through a dungeon or something like that rewards them for being smart and going in the direction that they naturally want to go?
Coming from your right. Felt that one.
And another thing that I love about Outer Worlds is I finished it multiple times, but there were like different endings, different paths, right? So like, is that something that we're gonna get to experience? You know, based on the choices that we made in the game, like that's something that I really, really loved about Outer Worlds. So what is it similar or maybe something new that we're gonna get to see in this game?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into spoiler territory, for anyone that's played a lot of Obsidian games, you're familiar with end game slides, right? Little reactive moments at the end of the game that respond to the actions that you've done over the course of the game on a longer time scale than you'd explore in the game. And I will lovingly say the narrative team has made that a daunting process for me because I'm responsible for all those images and reactivity. And there's just so many ways you can end this game. It's absurd. But also over the course of playing the game, you'll get reactivity live, right? You're not just waiting for end slides to see what happens. There's some really, really exciting big moments that they impact whole societies within the game in really dramatic ways at times. I'm trying to dance around exactly what, but just know you can be a real dick sometimes. It's great, but you can also be the hero.
I was definitely a dick the first time that I played, and interesting just to build off of what he was talking about on dialogue choices and all of that, because I was purposely just doing like what was the most vile choice I could make just to see what would happen, and it ended my first playthrough very quickly because I forget the name, but that the guy you're helping, and he wound up attacking me, and I had to take him out, and then I got his weapon, and then I played around with some different builds as a result, which was great. But the one thing off of that was, if you can kind of elaborate more, is the attribute points that you're getting in there, because I noticed in some of the dialogue choices, you would see like intelligence or whatever, and that would open up, a different dialogue choice. So even off of that, I think when I was talking to one of you during the playthrough, there is going to be a respec in there that you'll be able to utilize. But how important are the attribute points as far as the difference, since it's a classless game, to building your character?
Yeah. So to build on what you're saying, so there are character backgrounds to start with, where you could be a noble scion or a war hero or any number of, I think, 6 backgrounds. 5 or 6. And then, so you have those, and those show up in the dialogue options as well, so that you can say, oh, well, my noble scion, who is used to the courts of, highfalutin land, would probably say something like this, or would know something about the conversation that could influence it in a particular way. Then you have the attributes as well, like intelligence and, perception, strength, stuff like that. They kind of build on that in a slightly different way to allow you to sort of understand, okay, what's a different path that I could potentially take in this conversation. But kind of going back to what you were saying about the number of different paths that are available to you in just this demo, which is a subset of the game. You can agree with Sargemus and help him further his goals. You can agree with him, but talk him down from it. You can clearly have combat with him in a couple of different ways. You can say, no, I don't really want to do that. I want to pursue my own goals. And also, without getting too spoilery here, because this is a demo and because there are some outcomes that tie into the greater narrative, we kind of blocked those off and didn't show those in this demo. And so there are even more outcomes that you could potentially have as you're playing through just a subset, just in one side quest of this game. And then, you layer on backgrounds and attributes on top of that, and it starts getting into a multivariable matrix.
So real quick, so just from a story standpoint, not spoilers obviously, but so this exists in the Path of Exile universe.
Pillars of Eternity. Yeah.
Oh, did I say Path of Exile?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry.
Even if I work on the damn game.
Yeah.
So no worries, man.
Edit this out. No, but
yeah,
to the point.
Yes. So this takes place in the Pillars of Eternity world of Aora. Although So this is the first time that players are really going to be able to see this in first person. And I think that it makes such a huge difference when you compare, say, an isometric view, which is totally fine and good. But the amount of immersion that you get when you jump into first person, and like Matt was saying earlier, you can look up and down. This is the first time that players are going to be able to see the sky in the world of Aora, even though this isn't the first game that takes place in the intellectual property. It's just the degree of immersion that we can get when the music swells and all the art comes together. It's breathtaking. It's really cool.
So with this demo, you only have one companion, right? How many companions we get to see, like once the game releases, and also the relationship between your character and your companion? Can you just have like conversation, get to know more about them? Will that also help unlock new quests, new stuff? Like,
Yeah, so there's going to be 4 companions total.
you plus 4?
You plus 4, but you'll only run with 2 at a time. So you'll have a party camp, and that's actually really central to your experience with the companions, where you can go and swap them out once you've unlocked them. But also you can use the party camp to delve deeper into their stories. And each of the companions also has a sort of critical quest line for them that requires you bring them along. And so there's I should say there's 2 of each of those. The crit path requires you at each point to bring, Kai's got to be with you at some point. Marius has got to be with you. Yatsali's got to be with you, right? Giada as well. But then they all have their own personal story that you can dig in deeper with and build that relationship with them through that. And some of them are a little lighter hearted than others. But it's, they're human stories, and it's really great to get to explore them.
What's the name? It's Kai, right?
Kai is the big blue fish man that you saw. Yeah.
So what you can tell us a little bit about his companion?
Yeah. So Kai is an Amawa. That's the sort of species that he is. They're like semi-aquatic people. They're really big seafarers because they're good at swimming. So of course. But you meet Kai. He's the first person you meet. Well, that's not technically true. He's the first permanent companion that you meet. It's great. He is a former soldier. He carries a lot of that baggage with him, but he masks it like so many of people do that have been through traumatic events. Often masking it with humor, which I'm sure you got to see some of. But he's one of I'd say of all the companions, he's like the rock. He's the solid foundation. They all guide you through their understanding of the living lands, but he's really your first guide. And for me, at least, he's home. He's the companion. I always bring at least him and then someone else. Because there's just a resonance there with him that I really appreciate. But yeah, he's a goofy dude. He's strong as hell. I like range builds a lot of the time, so it's nice to have a guy that can soak some hits for me. And if you get Marius later, he's our dwarf scout kind of guy. The 2 of them have some of the funniest banter in the game. It's a real blast. But also, depending on which 2 companions you bring, you're going to get a very different narrative experience going through those quests because they have diverse perspectives on what you're experiencing.
So this is kind of a question, but it's really more of something I was impressed with.
All right.
It's the visuals. Yeah, the visuals and the art style that I saw just in this one contained area that we had in the demo. Really love the lighting that we saw. Again, the art style that we had as well. So I don't know if you can kind of elaborate more of some of the diversity of the biomes that we might see.
Heck yeah. So my favorite one, I can't really talk about it yet, is Buck Wild though. I'm really excited. But a lot of the stuff that we've already shown, I can talk about and elaborate on a little. So the dungeon that you were playing within takes place in our first full region of the game. It's called Dawnshore. It's a little idyllic. It's closest to typical fantasy, like Western fantasy vibes of any of the regions. But there's some weird surprises to find in it as well. But it's temperate climate, kind of what you expect, nothing too surprising. From there, you go to another region that's more forested, and it's got swamps and terraced farms, and it's starting to get a little spookier, and it's getting a little weirder. And with each region that you enter, it's going to get a little weirder and a little weirder and a little weirder until that final region I can't really talk about. But after that, we've got a desert region, and then a volcanic region after that. And in each of those, we have sub-biomes as well. And those allow for a lot of visual variety and unique visual experience for the player, which is great. It also helps with wayfinding. You know, you're walking through the farms, you can kind of remember, oh yeah, there's a merchant over there in the farms. We're great. Oh, I've hit the swamp. Oh, I got to turn back around. The merchant's behind me. So that's super useful as well. But the Living Lands in the lore of the game is the most diverse place on the planet. And so it really allowed us to say, like, yeah, over each hill crest, maybe something a little wilder is gonna surprise you.
Again, I'm bringing up Outer Worlds again.
Yeah.
So the dialogue in that game, I know, but I have to compare. So love the dialogue in that game.
Yeah.
And there was a lot. Now, compared to that dialogue, the amount of content,
it's super comparable.
How big is it in this game?
Yeah, it's very, very comparable. So in a single conversation in the quest that you went through, there's over 460 nodes. So for those not in the know, a node is like a blurb of text. And so that's either a character speaking or the player responding, right? That's one conversation. And a lot of those pathways are, mutually exclusive. So you might not get to see different reactions to what you're saying if you go down one path because you've been friendly with someone, you don't get to see their snarky replies or vice versa, right? So yeah, there's a lot of depth there to explore for sure.
It's like I want to ask a lot of stuff, but then I don't want to know because obviously the game's not coming out until February now. Which hey, it'll be a long wait, but it'll be well worth it. Like I said, it's interesting because we first saw this game in 2020. And, we've seen a couple different iterations of it leading up to this, but to finally get hands-on with it, it's like it clicked for me. Like, okay, I see what they're doing. I get this. This is an Obsidian-ass game, for lack of a better term, right?
Love it.
Really looking forward to put that on the box. But I think just for people in the game, maybe you can elaborate on this more. I think it is getting that hands-on that the audience it's really going to click for you to understand. Sure, it's an RPG, sure it's the fantasy, all that stuff, but for me, I was always going in not understanding the different weapon, the way that you're going to handle the different weapons and all that. But as soon as I picked up the controller, I was like, okay, I get it now. Like I said before, you definitely need to be very strategic on how you're using these. I guess my final question coming out of this, I don't know if you can elaborate more on the weapon diversity and even just some of the different potions, and like there was like the electric grenade or whatever you want to call it, things like that. Some of that variety that people can expect in the game.
Lots. Arguably, as the person responsible for all those weapons, too much. No, it's you'll have a lot of options. Both one-handed and two-handed weapons. Yeah. Obviously, as you'd expect, two-handed stuff, you're not going to attack as fast, but it's going to hit harder in most cases. And you can mix and match pretty thoroughly. You also have multiple loadouts, right? So you can have your dual pistols for mid-range, and then guys getting close, you bring out your Warhammer, you're good to go. I won't list them all off because we'll be here for a while, but there's some more unique weapons than, are commonly present in a lot of first-person games. Daggers and spears, you don't see that playing out often. And I think we've nailed the feel on those things pretty well. And obviously, firearms are not super common in fantasy settings. They've always been there for pillars, but for people who haven't played it, that might be a surprise to them.
Maybe it's
oh shoot, yeah, in Path of Exile. No, but my personal favorite are grimoires. I just love old books. Give them to me. But also just magic's super fun. And with each of those grimoires, they're going to introduce you to 4 spells that you wouldn't normally be able to have. But once you have them, you can unlock them permanently, get rid of that grimoire, and now you can cast that spell that you learned from that book. So that's super fun as well. I don't know, anything you want to add to that?
I did. I had
no, I'm
something in
sorry.
It just.
I was bloviated.
No, it was the grimoire bit, and I was like, yeah, and I started thinking about grimoires. But actually, to your point about, it just didn't click until you got the game in your hands. That's we've honestly been waiting for that, and it's such a treat to be able to debut the game as it is and just let people play. Months ago, our QA lead David, who's just upstairs right now, was saying, just let the game speak for itself. Like we've got some work to do. We've got to polish it. We got a couple of months to get it where it needs to be. But honestly, it is speaking for itself, and it's so heartening to see people play it and go, I get it. And just some of the shouts that people have while they were playing. There was one dude was like, dang. And I raced over to see what was happening, and he had died in combat. And it's so cool to see people get it and get it.
Yeah, to build on that a little bit, like, you have to play it.
Yeah.
Player agency, player choice, and consequences, the number one critical pillar of how we make games, and that just doesn't translate in a canned piece of media. We can come up with cool story trailers, we can show you gameplay, but unless you're behind the wheel and making those choices, it's not going to land in the same way. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, we just got to be patient. Proof's in the pudding. Let's get it in players' hands and see how they respond.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question. Like, it's been so many years, your reaction now that people finally playing the game finally. But, I've done a lot of interviews, and one of the things that I love is when the team is like super excited to talk about it. You could tell, like, you just just having this conversation, you guys, like, I'm more hyped now to play the game, So love the demo. I can't wait for the release next year. So congrats to both.
Yeah,
and the team.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Appreciate y'all taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any moment. Oh. My Lord Aethys, are you there? No! It's not working! Something is wrong. My Lord Aethys has not returned. Something is missing from my design. Something I did not account for. It must be the chime. Without its ringing, he cannot hear the statue's call. My cousin, will you join my holy work and lend your chime to the cause? There's nothing to fear. You won't feel a thing. Take your best shot.
I guess that's justice. Why couldn't he have just stuck to sculpture? We make a good squad.
All right, so shout out to Obsidian for the interview. That was great. Had a great time talking to the dev team. Paris, how excited are you after talking to the team and after playing the game Avowed?
I'm very excited for it. I'd even joked that February is a long ways away now. Before it wasn't. I definitely want to play this game. So really looking forward to it. Again, it's Obsidian. They're going to knock it out of the park. And kind of like we said in the interview, when you actually get hands-on with it, it clicks and you get what they're trying to do. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And and let me know if you got the same feeling. When I started playing Avowed for the first time, I got the old vibe of of their older games. I'm like, and we picked it up, and I'm like, okay, this is the old Obsidian. Like, I'm feeling the vibe. I can't wait to take my time, not only do all these like quests, but getting to know your companions and discovering new locations, and maybe discover new missions that maybe you just talk to somebody and unlock. Like that experience, I love. That's the thing I love. I love about their older games was just the discovery and doing new things, or the choices I made that a lot of other people, they probably have like a totally different experience with them because of their choices, you know. So I can't wait to finally play this game. And for you, first time playing that game, you never played their previous games in the past. This is your first Obsidian game. How was that feeling for you?
Like I said, first person is still a little bit less comfortable for me, but it felt smooth as butter. And for it to be, still months away, the polish was already starting to show really well. So I think they're in a very good position for a February release, or even if they take more time, take as much time as you need, devs. But yeah, I can't wait to get into this one. It feels like the kind of game that you can let it sort of slowly build. You don't feel the need to rush through anything. Like there's no hurry to discover what the storyline is going to unfold and show you, because like you said, there's that sense of discovery, and everybody's playthrough is going to be so different that no one's going to be able to really spoil the entire experience for you. Very similar to Baldur's Gate, how a lot of people are able to sort of take their time and really like flesh out their characters and their playthrough. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I did get a sneak peek at the customization screen. I wasn't supposed to, but it was very impressive, and I'm really excited to like build my own character and really live in this world as a what is it, a godborn or god touched, or whatever the phrase was for people who have a little spirit of a god inside of them, and that's why you can do magic and shit.
Awesome. Well, Ree, thank you for recording for the first time with us, officially co-hosts, and everybody, thank you for listening and watching GTR. Until next time, we're out. Peace.